Hello, good morning. It's the top of the hour, so let's get started. My name's Laura Kevitt. I'm a product manager with Tridium, and I am trying to get my screen here, so that isn't showing up. I've been knocking around Tridium for about 7 years, and I've been in the business for over 30 years. So I'm really excited to show you some of the new features we have with our integration. With our video integration, HTML5, it's something that's not just for security anymore. I know a lot of people think of video integration as a security product, but it can also be used in your building automation system. And today I'm going to hopefully show you how we can use those features to integrate. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. This session is being recorded. So you can see I'm live. Please submit any questions you have through the Zoom Q&A window, and I'll answer them at the end of the presentation if there's time permitting. And the session will be available for review in the future at the link shown below, and you'll be able to pull this link up from our website. All right, let's get started. HTML5 video integration with Niagara is really an exciting new feature we have. I'll be showing you an integrated alarm console that'll allow you to review alarms directly from your Niagara alarm console. You'll be able to review video associated with alarms. We'll be able to pull in video motion detection alarms from our video system, and these can be used for lighting control, to notify security staff, or even to trigger occupancy. You can even get space utilization by analyzing video motion detection in various spaces to know when there's actually motion in a space and determine when various parts of your facility are actually being used. And along with all these features with the HTML5 streaming, we can now view live video on our mobile phones through the Niagara connection. Let me just show you a few details here. This is a video screen grab of an integrated alarm console. As you can see here, I've selected an alarm that has a video camera associated with it. And right from the alarm console, I can pop up a video page with live video streaming in it. Really nice. You don't have to go to a separate system and try to find something that happened at that exact time to do it. And then right from this video, right from this pop-up page, you can rewind the video, you can fast forward it, pause it, go to live, and you can search for events. So a pretty nice feature that you can use right from your Niagara alarm console. Another thing you can do is add context to your data. So you can actually use live video as a backdrop for your data. Here, rather than drawing a PX page, I actually have a camera located in a chiller room with data laid on top of it. This may or may not work for your application, but it's a really nice feature to have, and you could use this in any space where you have a camera. Another use for something like this is that you might want to monitor workers that are by themselves in high-risk spaces to make sure they're okay. Sometimes you have to have an escort with a worker, and in this case you may be able to just monitor them via camera. And another thing that you might be able to do is determine whether or not it's safe to enter a space when there's an alarm in an area. You might pull up the video prior to sending somebody on a call if there's a fire in the space, or if you see that chemical detection alarms are coming in. You could prepare the worker for that space prior to them just walking in through the front door. You can also enhance the safety and security of building occupants. You can use video motion detection to turn on lights. You can notify security staff so that they can monitor that person and make sure they make it safely to their destination. So a lot of things you can do with integrated video that's not just associated with our enterprise security product. This is a screen grab I took from my iPhone 10 using a Chrome browser of live video. As we go through our demo today, you're going to have to excuse what I'm showing for live video. I'm in a home office, so my video might not be real compelling, but you can at least get an idea of the concept of what we can do with live video today. I want to talk a little bit about our video drivers and what systems we support. We have a milestone driver, and we have 2 drivers for milestone. It's the same part number to order them, but there's 2 separate drivers. One is our N milestone driver, and that's been validated with Milestone XProtect Professional 2019 R2. It will probably work with other legacy products as well, but this is what we validated our latest one with. And then we have an XProtect driver that works with Milestone XProtect Professional Plus and Corporate 2019 R3 is what we validated it with. Again, it may work with other versions, but that's what we validated it with. And the driver will work, these drivers will work on both Chrome and Firefox. We also have a driver that goes directly to Axis cameras. There's live viewing only for this driver. It just pulls in live video streams, but that still can be quite valuable. There's 2 different basic user experiences you'll have depending on your version of Axis camera. With firmware version 7.1 and higher, we have what we call token authentication, which means that Niagara will authenticate to the camera when you access Niagara via the browser automatically. If for versions below 7.1, you'll need to use the browser authentication, which can be a little clunky. It still works, but basically a login screen will pop up when you access the Axis camera versus over the browser instead of logging in automatically. So it's a little bit of a headache to use these cameras that are at a lower version, even though they will work. We do support both Mozilla and Chrome for this as well. Mozilla will work with H.264 and MJPEG streams, where Chrome will not work with H.264 streams. So for our video streaming, Mozilla is probably the browser of choice because it works with mostly everything. We do also have a Max Pro NVR driver, and that driver is under construction right now. We're working with the Honeywell folks, and we're hoping in the near future to have an HTML5 version of that driver, but today that driver requires web launcher in the browser because the newer browsers do not support video streaming or Java. Before we get started, I also wanted to talk a little bit about video storage and bandwidth calculations. So often I get asked, how many camera streams can I view? How many cameras can I look at one time? What's my bandwidth required on my network? And I hate to tell people this, but it really does depend. The things it depends upon are the frames per second you're going to stream your cameras at. You can stream your cameras at 30 frames per second, which is like movie quality, but you probably don't really need that for just surveillance purposes. You're actually trying to surveil and see events rather than watch a movie. So typically you can stream things at 5 frames per second. If you have something high speed, like you're watching a Vegas dealer, you might need to stream at 30 frames per second. So there's some things you need to know there. Also the resolution of your camera and what you've got that set at. Typical resolutions now are anything from 720p to 10 megapixel. So, I mean, it can make a huge difference of what your bandwidth is going to look like depending on your camera resolution. And then there's various types of compression too that affect your network bandwidth. How many days are you going to store your video? And then how are you going to record? Are you going to record only on motion? Are you going to record only during certain hours? And are you going to do background recording? So a lot of factors here when you're thinking about setting up a video system that you need to consider. So I just wanted you to be aware of these things. Most video systems have calculators that you can use, and you just plug in the numbers for your cameras, and it'll spit out some numbers for you as to what you need for storage and bandwidth. What I'm showing you here is what my little home network looks like. As you can see, I've got a separate PoE switch that I've got my camera and video streams isolated on from my data network over here. Originally, I had this set up all plugged in together, and it brought my little network router to its knees. So I isolated it. Although what I'm doing right here is kind of a microcosm of what you see in a standard installation. this practice is fairly common. You're typically going to want to isolate your video streams from your data network, just for performance and also for security. So I just kind of wanted to show you what I've got going here. I'm running, I have a rather wimpy little notebook PC that I'm running Milestone XProtect Professional on. That's an older version of Milestone. I couldn't get the newer version to run on my little home network, so I'm just kind of explaining what I've got going on here for this demo. All right, let me move into, take a look at our Milestone setup. Before you can do any integration with Milestone, you need to actually get your system set up. So I'm going to just quickly go through some of the basic setup that you need to do with Milestone before you can bring in the video into Niagara. So the first thing you would do is discover your cameras. Milestone has a camera discovery that will pull in just about any brand or model of network camera. So a lot of times people will ask me, what kind of cameras can we integrate into Niagara? Well, with Milestone, you can bring in just about any camera that pulls and comes into Milestone. We can view the video stream on. So by using Milestone as our integration partner, we are able to pull in just about any brand of video camera you can imagine. I'm going to show you here. This is another wizard they have for setting up video storage on all your devices from one place. You can also go and set this up individually, camera by camera, but I'll show you what I've got going on here. If you look at that fixed dome camera I showed you in my earlier drawing, you see I've got a live streaming rate at 5 frames per second, and I'm recording at 1.25 frames per second, which is really slow. And I'm only recording based on motion detection. One thing that you can do is pre-record and post-record for an incident, and that way you can see what happened before and after an incident occurred. I would recommend that you do that if you're recording on motion. And this is how I've got my PTZ camera set up. You'll see here I've got a special dual streaming option set up here. The PTZ camera I have is very inexpensive and only supports one stream. That becomes important when you're integrating with Niagara, because basically one stream will be used for recording, and Milestone has an option where you can set up the camera. Milestone actually creates a second stream that you can use for live viewing. But the impact of this on my integration is that I'm not going to be able to view recorded video from my PTZ camera because it only supports one stream. So just a something to know as you're selecting cameras, cheapest always isn't best. And I've got this one set up to record always. My USB camera is recording at the same rate as my fixed dome camera. I'm just going to cancel out of here. You can also adjust all the motion detection in your camera, so I'll just show you that when I get to the USB camera object, and you can manage all your users right from these wizards as well. So it's a pretty easy interface to set up. I've got my cameras discovered in here. Milestone even discovered my USB camera that was plugged into the computer, so that's kind of cool. So here is my fixed dome camera. Like I told you, the video wasn't real compelling. This is, I've got this on my little demo setup that I've got sitting on my desk. I'm going to show you a little bit about motion detection. I've got motion detection enabled on the camera. As I reach over to flip the switch, you can see that the motion level went into the alarm zone. You'll want to fine tune this so you don't get a bunch of extra alarms, but I'm not going to go into details on setting up motion detection right now. In order to see the motion detection events in Niagara, you'll need to set these up as events. Again, I'm not going to go through setting everything up in Milestone, but you do need to set up events in Milestone to get the events sent over to Niagara. And now I'll take a look at my PTZ camera. And let's take a look at my, first I'll show you the video here. Again, down here, there's this dual stream option that Milestone has. You'll need to enable this if you have cameras that only allow a single stream in order to view the camera in Niagara. And I'll go to my PTZ presets. I have, there's two choices with camera presets with Milestone. You can either create presets in the Milestone server, or you can pull them in from the camera. For my demo here, I'm pulling them in from the camera because I use this camera for other things. Just something to think about. You can use one or the other, but not both. So if you're going to be setting up your presets in Milestone, you would not want to spend a whole lot of time setting them up in your camera. So I'll just test them here and make sure they're working before I do my integration piece. There we can see there's the penguin. All right, so we can see that the preset control is working through Milestone. It's always good to test this in Milestone prior to integrating and then trying to figure out what's not working. All right, I'm gonna kind of go through this setup here just quickly to show you what we need to do. As I'm going through this, you wanna really notice the ports that are being used in the Milestone server. If these have been changed from the default, you're gonna have to make a note of that and change them in your Niagara integration as well. Here's my event server. It's on port 1, 2, 3, 4. And here you can see my hardware events. Here's the motion events that I had set up in my USB or in my fixed dome camera. We'll go down here a little farther. You'll see here, this is central access. Now this particular facet of Milestone is only available in the legacy models. If you have the newer models, you won't see the central, but you'll see something else called a recording server that can either be on the same machine as your Milestone application or on a remote machine. So that's the major difference in setting up either the older version or newer versions. Again, I've got a port here that you'd want to notice if you're doing this setup. Here's my server access. I had to set this to port 81 because I had a conflict with another application on port 80. And here's my, cancel out of here. Here's my services. You'll want to make sure that all of these services have started before you try to do your integration. And last but not least, you need to have a mobile server running in order to connect to it via browser through Niagara. You can see here that my connection to my server is green, good. And if you go down here to the connectivity of the server, you can see the ports I'm using. So you'll need to make sure that those ports are open in your routers and on your Niagara machine so that you can get to all these things. All right, so I am going to close this out and quickly go to how to set this up in Niagara. Let's see here, there we go. All right, so I have a blank station here. This is just a straight standard Niagara station with really nothing in it. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to show you my video driver palette. I have some things in here that you will be using. I'm going to show you the playback viewer and surveillance viewer. I'm going to just drop those in my driver folder for now before I get started. The surveillance viewer, we don't have supported in HTML5 right now, but that's coming in our next 4.10 release. And then if I look at my alarm palette, we have a video alarm console recipient. And I am going to add that into my alarm service here. And we need this video alarm console recipient to handle automatic PTZ control based on alarms. And I'll show you how that works in a little while. But if you don't have this, if you don't have your alarms routed to the video alarm console recipient, you won't be able to do automatic PTZ control based on alarm. I'm going to show you the property sheet of that right now as well. There's one property I usually like to change from the default, and that's to go to preset on normal condition. I usually set that to false because if somebody is looking at something on the camera, I don't want to move the camera just because a point returned to normal. So I'm going to set that to false. We might change that default at a later time. There's also some optional things in here that I just want to show you, but that we don't need to use today. There's a video alarm configuration service that will configure extra options for the users. Excuse me. Those extra options are not supported today with HTML5. Hopefully in the near future we'll have those done. And then video alarm extension parameters, I dropped these on Boolean or are on our standard Niagara alarm extension parameters to associate alarms with a camera. We also have some PX widgets down here, and I'll show you these. We've got the most commonly used ones supported with HTML5 presentation today, and those are the live video player, the control panel, which you can use for PTZ control, and the camera widget, and I'll show you those as well in just a little bit. So now I'm just gonna get my driver configured. I am using the N milestone driver. As I explained before, N milestone driver is used for the more older legacy type version, so I'm going to bring that in here. If you were using a newer version of milestone, you would use the XProtect driver. Now I'll go to my device manager here for my driver, and as you can see, our presentation for video integration is very similar to our other Niagara drivers. So it's fairly intuitive if you're familiar with Niagara. I'm going to add my DVR here, and I'm going to type in my IP address. You saw that earlier on my server access, and as you might recall, I have to change this port away from the default port, the 80 that is typically used. And I'm going to put in my basic user ID here. And my central credentials, I showed you that earlier as well. And hopefully I don't have any typos in this. And it'll come in. Good. Sometimes when I've been practicing this, I have little typos and then it makes my heart stop. All right, next thing we'll do is discover the cameras that we saw in the milestone system. And those come in fairly quickly. I'm just going to bring those in. For my fixed dome camera, I'm just going to accept the defaults. I don't want to connect, I don't want to click on this PTZ support for fixed cameras. Otherwise what happens is the system thinks it's a PTZ camera and all the PTZ controls will come up in the display for that camera. So I'm not going to click on that. And I'll bring this one in with the defaults as well. And then for my PTZ camera, I'm going to enable PTZ control so that I can change the PTZ settings from Niagara. So at this point now, we have live video streaming in Niagara. That was pretty quick. Here we go. It's still connecting. My network is probably having a hard time with the Zoom meeting and doing live video streaming, but we're getting there. Okay. So remember we had motion detection set up in my fixed dome camera. So let's look at what we do to bring that into Niagara. Under my fixed dome camera, I have an events folder, and I can discover the events that were set up in Milestone. So I'm going to pull in my motion detected event. I'm just going to get rid of that $1.20 in there. I don't like looking at that. And I'll bring that in and hit OK. All right, you can see it's false right now. I'm going to just quickly wave my hand in front of it. There, it's true. Okay, so now if I want to associate that alarm with video streams, what I would need to do is first I'm going to go to my alarm palette. And I will add a Boolean state change of state alarm extension to that point. I'll just call it motion. And now you can see the points in alarm. And now in order to associate a camera with that alarm, I mean, at this point, you can still use it as an alarm condition and you could initiate trigger events in Niagara using the logic from that. But now I'm going to drop my video alarm extension on that, and from here I can associate a camera with that. Since this point is under my camera, it will automatically associate with that camera. If I'm associating an alarm with a point that's not under the event folder of a camera, then you have to manually map that in. So let's just take a look quickly at my alarm extension so we can see how that looks. This is a standard Niagara alarm extension, but now you'll see these are my extra parameters that I dropped on that extension. It automatically mapped my camera in. I'm going to set start recording to false for this exercise because I've already got the NVR starting recording based on motion, so I don't want to send it another start recording. It might make duplicate clips. I don't want to do that. And since it's a fixed camera, I'm going to set this go to preset as false and hit save. Okay, so now I'm just going to quickly set motion up again, and we can go to our alarm console and check to make sure that we can actually review video from the alarm console. All right, it's my motion detected point. And there you go. There's my, you kind of see my hand going there. If you look here, we can see from our recorded video, we can go to live and it'll jump to the current time. Or if you want to, you can rewind at high speed or normal speed to review what happened prior to that. So again, the video isn't real compelling, but if you can imagine that this is in a doorway or some other type of setting, you can see how that works. Let's take a quick look at my PTZ camera as well. All right. Yeah, right now it's in the playback. I'm going to go to the live view of this because it's a little easier to deal with. Okay, you can see I'm in my office and I can go to presets based on, local commands. I will show you when we get to the next part of the demo how to set up presets to go there automatically based on alarm. It's basically using those alarm extensions that you had, that you saw earlier. I can also control the camera directly from the screen using this nice little widget we have here. I'm getting to see a little bit of my office. So sometimes there's latency in the system, and you'll have a hard time controlling it this way. And I'll show you the widget that we have that would help you to control it if you have a lot of network latency. Because if you're trying to use this control and it takes 10 seconds for it to respond, it's kind of hard to get your camera in the right spot unless you use a preset. So I'm going to just pull up this video file here, and I'll just pull in a few video widgets to demonstrate what we can do in graphics. I'm not drawing you real fancy pictures here because you probably don't want to see that, but at least I want to get you the concepts of how this works. So let's go to my milestone DVR in the camera. I can just pull this camera in here, drop it on my page. I can use from my video driver palette. You might recall that I had some of these widgets. I'm going to go pull this in on the live video player. When I pull it in this way, there's not any extra real estate used up for controls and things, so it's something that you could just embed in your graphic. If you look at my property sheet, you can also animate the visibility of this, so it'll become visible based on maybe an alarm or a condition or a command. So there's that way of pulling it in. You could also pull this in as just a workbench view. And I'll show you what that looks like as opposed to the live view. If you pull it in this way, you're going to have some extra real estate pulled up, in your graphic with some of these extra controls. You may want that or you may not want that. It's just another option we have. All right. And then for my PTZ camera, that can be pulled in the same way. Let's just go to my live view here. Let's go to my palette. Now let's go to Workbench View, Live View. Okay. So on your screen, you would be able to, if you had this in your on your PX page, you'd be able to control the PTZ from it. But what if, like I said before, you have a lot of latency in your network connections and controlling the PTZ is really hard? You can also pull in from our palette. You can pull in this control widget. I'll show you this here. This control panel. Then pull this in. And then I can just nudge the camera and wait for it to move rather than trying to control it live. So this is something you would probably use if you, again, had a lot of network latency. Oh, and I guess I'm having a little trouble here with my connections even. Okay, now you can see, you can just kind of click on this. You can zoom in and out with it. So anyway, those are the basic widgets. One other one that I'll show you here real quickly before I get out of this station is the camera widget. You'll probably use that as well if you're dropping cameras on a floor plan. So I would use this camera widget down here. And that basically just gives you a hyperlink to a camera. So I can drop these on a floor plan and then pull them up from a floor plan as a pop-up. Those are basically the basics of how to pull it in and how to integrate it. Now I'm going to quickly go and shut off the station and turn on my demo station so that I've got a couple other pre-built graphics I'll show you. Just quickly stop this one. I had thought about pre-recording all this, but then I figured you'd maybe think it was just smoke and mirrors, so I figured I'd actually do a live demo. So pardon the pause in the activity here. Should start up rather quickly. Okay, here we go. All right, before I go to the browser presentation of this, I just wanted to show you what I had set up for point 2. Point. Hello, sorry about that. I just noticed I had dropped off. I'm not quite sure when I dropped, but I'm back. Anyway, I think when I dropped off, I was just showing the alarm extension for this Boolean point I have set up to change my preset on my PTZ camera. If I can get a little feedback just to let you know, me know I'm live now, that would be great.
We can hear you, Laura.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry about that. All right, so I am going to close my workbench just to hopefully tax the system a little less. Like I told you, I have kind of a fragile home network here. And I am going to pull up my browser and connect to my station with the browser so you can see what this all looks like in the browser. All right. All right, there's a video of my neighbor's backyard. Let's take a quick look at my graphics here. I've built this graphic, and this is kind of a very simple but typical floor plan graphic. I've got a video embedded right in the graphic. I've also got camera widgets up on the floor plan that you can select and view various areas of the floor plan. So for example, if you were having an alarm coming from this conference room, you might want to see if there's actually any people in the conference room so you know if you need to take a look at things. I've also got a video pop-up setup or video visibility coming if I have motion. I just waved my hand in front of the camera and this video popped up. So is another application you might have. Having a video pop up is a lot more compelling to someone that's watching screens than just having a static video display. People kind of become blind to video after a while and they don't even notice if something's going on unless it pops up and makes a noise. You look at my alarm console here, you can see again I have my alarms coming in, and I can click on this review video button right from my alarm console and see what happened when that alarm came in. I can also just show you a little bit. This is my PTZ changing on alarm. I was setting those 2 points up for you, showing you those 2 points when I dropped off earlier. So what you can do is you can have it go to PTZ based on various alarms. You might also use this for just manual commands that you can have an operator use to change the PTZ on the camera if you don't want to give them full access to the controls of the camera. So here I can have the camera go to various PTZ settings based on alarms. What's nice about this is it not only affects what we're viewing, but it also affects what's being recording. So by doing this, you're actually recording important data rather than just something that some position that somebody left the camera at. I had also kind of shown you in the PowerPoint using data as an overlay for video. So right from my video again here, I've just overlaid a command point. I could actually just command equipment off and on. I could watch what's going on as I command that equipment and see all the data right on the same screen. And then this is just a quick graphic that I had built, and this is what you saw on the screen grab of my from my iPhone of my video cameras. This is the responsive graphic with video embedded. I'm going to give a shout out to Kevin Mamajek, and he has a Tridium talk on how to build responsive graphics. I actually watched his video or his Tridium talk before I got this working correctly. So this is another thing though that you can configure and then use for mobile video as well. You can see here I've got my alarm console. I'm not going to get into the details of how I built this, but if you want to know how to do responsive graphics, I encourage you to see Kevin Mamajek's Tridium talk, and just know that you can drop video right on those canvas panes in the responsive graphic, and you have a fully functional video system or fully responsive video presentation. Well, that kind of ends my live demo. I'm going to quickly get off here before Zoom kicks me out again for taking too much bandwidth. Just one more thing I wanted to go over with you as far as some new things that are coming in our next release. In our next release, we're going to have a video surveillance viewer. And what that will allow you to do is drag and drop cameras onto a pane and save your views. So you can have, we have I think 4 or 5 different views you can set your cameras at. You can have picture in a picture or 2x2 or 3x3 camera presentations. Here I'm showing 2:1. We're also going to have HTML5 ready for our photo ID viewer for enterprise security. That is a utility that allows you to look at a photo associated with someone's card that they just scanned with live video, and it gives you an extra level of verification to look at that photo, look at the live video, and decide if that's the same person before you maybe give them access to something. And we'll also have, for 4.10, access camera discovery. Up until now, you've had to manually enter the IP addresses for access cameras on your network. Coming in 4.10, you'll be able to discover access cameras on your network, and that'll save you quite a bit going forward. And so with that, I'd like to thank you for your time. I hope you've gotten some good ideas of what you can do with video, even with the limited video I have in my home office. And I guess now, hopefully, we can open up for questions if there are any.
So any questions that we don't answer live will be answered on a Q&A document and that we will post on our events page. So the first question actually has 3 different parts. How many cameras can be connected with the software, and does this support any camera make, and are there any specific requirements while integrating?
We can connect to an unlimited number of cameras with our supervisor. As far as streaming data goes, or as far as streaming video goes, we're kind of limited to about 64 streams of live video, and that would be at roughly 720 to 1080p. It's kind of like we go back to, it depends on how much video you're streaming and how fast you're streaming it.
Okay. Is a separate part number required for implementing security in Niagara?
Yes, there's a part number for the application, the security application that you can add to either a supervisor or a JACE for running access control.
Can it be clubbed with a JACE used for BMS integration?
Yes, it can. There are some limitations. Depending on how busy your access control system is, you'll probably want to limit the number of BAS devices you connect to it, and you know, the number of histories you're collecting, that type of thing. It has been tested with, we have tested the application running on a JACE with up to like 60 backnet thermostats, which is not a real heavy load. So it's kind of one of those things that you need to exercise a bit of caution, but for small systems, it works great.
Is surveillance driver a default driver in Niagara?
No, it's an add-on. So you would need to purchase one of the video drivers in order to use the video surveillance.
Okay. Can we connect direct network cameras to Niagara instead of Milestone?
We have an integration with Axis cameras. You can connect those directly. Those are the only cameras we have in a direct connection with today. We've got OnVIF driver on the roadmap, but I don't have a release date that I can give you for that at this time.
All right, we'll just go a couple more before we end. Can you also integrate access control from Milestone?
We do not have an API with the Milestone access control set up yet. It's something that probably could be done, but we don't have that in our system just yet.
Is there any more details on when the Max Pro driver will be Java free?
I don't have details. We're working with the Honeywell team today. There's some APIs that they are updating on their NVR to make our development possible. So it's kind of a team effort at this point. I don't think we'll have it for 4.10, but hopefully in the very near future.
All right, let's see, one more question. Is there any plans to integrate on ONVIF compliance cameras?
Again, that's the ONVIF, ONVIF, I'm assuming. We have that on our roadmap, but we do not have a resource planned for that just at this time. Hopefully sometime in the future we'll be able to do that.
Okay. I think that's going to be it for today's questions, and any unanswered questions will be posted on our events page.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. Have a good rest of the day.